The Rams have a massive letdown loss out there against a former NFC West foe way back in the day. If you remember, they had 5 teams in the NFC West. Damn those Carolina Panthers. Why couldn't they help us out last week playing the Niners and they had to show up and play good against us? Freaking lame. But how did the Rams lose this game? Why did this happen? Me and Mark, we'll talk about that next on this post-game reaction episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. And if you're on YouTube, you enjoy our content, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any other episode throughout this wild 2025 season. And if you're on the audio only and or podcast only side of things, hey, share the podcast, share the audio with all your fellow Rams fans. And guys, those options, me and Mark, we very much appreciate it, and it helps other Rams fans see our content. But, what the hell, man? Rams lose 28-31 as I have double loss. That's how pissy my afternoon's been going here, as I'll correct that typo here. I mean, guys, Mark, what the hell, man? How did this happen?
Yeah, it was a bunch of big splash plays by the Panthers, and we just kept on letting it happen. And it was a weird game. There was, from the get go, I thought, okay, man, too easy. We got this. 7-0. Panthers make a couple plays. And I go, oh no, Panthers got it going today. And then here we come back. It's like, we're going to take care of business. This will be no problem. Panthers just wouldn't go away. And, there's a lot of reasons that happened, I think. But primarily, I think our defense was just out of sorts. And just a lot of big time plays. And, Stafford, a couple of goofs. Didn't help the cause, but I think it's mostly on the defense. He gave up 31 points. Well, actually, 24 of the points our defense gave up, and we just can't allow the Carolina Panthers to do that to us. It's just didn't see that coming.
I'm going to try to be as calm as I can this episode. As other episodes, I've been very fiery. But what is, I think, the number one thing that irritates me the most about this loss, guys, the Panthers had 6+ starters out versus the Rams. A safety suspended, their best corner out with concussion, 2 starting O linemen out with issues, Rose Boom, the linebackers, out. And those are guys that are just off the top of my head as I'm a little fiery right now with this loss. There are other guys I'm blanking on right now. But when you have 5, 6, let's just say 5 starters out for a team. Because I know, Panthers had 6 or more. I'm just blanking on names right now. Unacceptable. Unacceptable just from that alone. Now, the next thing that irritates me even more about this loss, this Panthers loss could have serious NFC West and playoff seeding implications. What does that mean? That means that this loss can end up biting the Rams in the ass because, hey, the Seahawks beat the Panthers. The 49ers beat the Panthers last week. And these are these little tie-breaking things that go on at the end of week 18 when you're trying to find out, all right, well, let's just go down this road here. Rams, Seahawks, Niners all have the same record. How do these things get tie broken? Rams lost to the Panthers. They have another conference loss. So, look, I had a lot of people pushing back on my tweets and posts earlier this afternoon saying this is a horrible loss for these reasons, especially about this game could potentially cost them winning the NFC West and a good playoff spot, or et cetera, et cetera. I got people DMing me too saying, what the hell are you thinking? And that's fine. You can have your opinion. But guys, the Rams had a golden opportunity to really extend their lead in the West, in the conference, tiebreaker scenarios, and they blew it today massively. This is a horrible loss. I don't want to hear or I'm not going to accept is probably a better way of saying it, that this loss is okay. I saw a lot of people kind of putting out there. That sounds like you're coping out there, everyone. And if you feel that way, you're entitled to your opinion. But let's not act like this loss isn't bad. For anyone out there that's nonchalant, you should not feel that way. The season ain't over. The Rams could still win the West. The Rams could still be the number 1 seed. Of course. I'm not saying, and most people are not saying that the season's over, like they lost a playoff game. No, 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 no. But the point is, this loss negatively affects all those chances significantly. And it'll be up to the team to bounce back, Mark, and get their act together and make sure this loss doesn't screw them at the end of the regular season come January time, right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. This is a devastating loss in that regard. But I'm a worrywart before the games and during the games, but I try to be an optimist afterwards.
Sure.
And this could end up being not the best thing that ever happened to him, obviously. But I was telling some folks, two different people this week, I'm not comfortable with all the love the Rams are getting in the media and even among Ram fans. I was not convinced, and some folks on the YouTube channel took some shots at me for saying the Seahawks outplayed us. How good was this Bucks team that we beat the heck out of? And yeah, we should take care of the Panthers. Got to my head too. I think we're gonna, maybe hit a 40 spot on these guys in
Yeah.
my pregame pulse. But on at the same token, even if we don't, we're going to be in the dance for sure. I think we're going to be in the
Yeah, yeah,
playoffs.
yeah, yeah, of
And
course.
if it's a different road that we have to take, I was looking at the possible seedings. If we have to travel to Tampa Bay for a playoff game where the Bears or the Seahawks get a bye, it is it'll be a more difficult path potentially because of this game. But I don't have a problem going to Tampa Bay or Seattle for a playoff game. To be honest with you, just trying to put the positive spin on a negative development. But yeah, you are absolutely right. Though, if we had won this game, it'd just be another step towards a bye week, a week off during the playoffs, which is a big, big advantage. So yeah, it truly does suck. But I think we're going to be okay, and this team's going to bounce back. It was really strange just watching our defense play fairly, fairly mediocre football for much of the game. To be honest with you.
Yeah, and now the defensive performance, and we'll get into it in more detail shortly, was just so unacceptable. You want to know why, everyone? When you literally see 5 to 6 days ago, 6 days ago, the 49ers backup defenders make the Panthers offense look silly when Bryce Young was trying to throw the football, and your, elite defense lets Bryce Young throw what, 20 passes and absolutely cook you on those 20 passes, basically. Unacceptable. And well, let's get right into it, everyone. As crazy, crazy, crazy. Isn't it hilarious, though, how after everyone just unanimously started saying, you know what, Rams are the best team. Stafford is MVP. Emmanuel Forbes isn't a bust. All those things just went to hell today. Like, of course it did. Of course it did, right? And like, it's insane. And I think it's important before we get into the play-by-play stuff, or just quarter by quarter, I should say. I mean, let's pull up the team stats. Usually we save this till later, but I think this will tell a lot of what the hell happened here. Time of possession there, everyone. Panthers had the ball 35 minutes to 24, roughly 25 minutes for the Rams. Ball control. They got it done. Obviously, Rams had a couple more first downs because of Stafford chucking it around. Cool. Panthers only had 17 to the Rams 22. Total yards, Rams had a little bit more because more air yards with Stafford, of course. And then the passing, 206 to 243. Rushing, 152 to 164. Now, here's the big thing with the rushing, though, Mark. The Rams were averaging 7.2 yards per rush. I get it that the Blake Corum run, we'll talk about more of that later, averaged that probably higher than what it was. But for the Carolina Panthers to run it, what, 40 something times? And for us to rush it so minimal, and we were more productive than them. If you guys have been following us here on the Rams Up Podcast Network, or you've been seeing my tweets or posts on Twitter X, you know I always like to say we got the Sean McVay special game, or it's looking like a Sean McVay special game. What is that? That is when we are throwing the ball excessively and abandoning the run. Today was one of those days. You can say, hey, if Stafford doesn't do this, and this, or this doesn't happen, then everything's fine through the air. Sure. But when the weather is crappy, run the damn ball. And the Carolina Panthers, to their credit, ran the damn ball, which, hey, thanks for doing that against the Niners last week, Carolina. That would have helped us out. And of course, they did it against this week. But that's my biggest thing, though, Mark, is the rushing. Rams only ran the ball a handful of times and almost equaled the Carolina Panthers running it 40-something times. Ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think that time of possession is also a result of I don't know how many third downs they converted and fourth downs as well, and some of them on the ground where I don't know if we were tackling poorly and maybe not rallying to the ball as quickly
Yeah.
as we sometimes do. There was just, you look at it, you're like, okay, we got them. No, they picked up 4 yards. I thought they were only going to pick up two. And it was over and over and over again. I have to go back and look and see what was happening there. But our run defense, there was probably 6 or 7 critical run plays where I felt like before this game, we shut that run down, and it wasn't. And credit to the Panthers, 2 backup offensive linemen, two running backs that were just getting every extra yard and just wiggling for a few extra yards on critical downs, and it was really frustrating.
It's absolutely unacceptable that 2 backup linemen absolutely bulldozed Braden Fisk and Kobe Turner and Tyler Davis the majority of the game in the run game. Unacceptable. And Puna Ford wasn't playing as much because he was dealing with a calf issue, which, he was questionable for the game and ended up being okay. Obviously, he wasn't out there on a play-by-play basis like he normally is. That's insane that Puna Ford's absence makes Kobe Turner, Braden, Tyler Davis, and others look pedestrian against backup linemen. That's unacceptable, Mark, Rams Nation. And yes, we talked about in the Keys to Victory episode that the running game is the engine that, propels the Carolina's offense to being any good at all. Sure. But for the caliber player that Kobe Turner, Braden, and Tyler Davis, and any other guys who rotated in, for them to get mollywopped on a lot of plays in the run game against backup interior linemen is unacceptable. Now, you could say the rain had something to do with it. Maybe. You could say the players were taking them lightly. Probably. But regardless of all that, you cannot have Pro Bowl level D linemen get worked by backups. And it's not like, hey, they double teamed him on a pass protection. Run it in the run game, everyone. It is like my willpower against your willpower. Do I want to blow you up more than you want to blow me up on this play? And the Rams front lost that battle the whole game practically. Unacceptable, Mark.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I saw as well. And by the end of the game, they're probably getting wore down a little bit. I think they were, but I don't know if
Absolutely.
that's yeah, and I don't know if that's really an excuse because I think they were losing the battle from the get go. So
Yeah.
it maybe got worse as the game went on. But yeah, it was disappointing. Um, yeah, they got to get better, and it makes maybe Puna Ford is our MVP. Yeah, if you think about it.
Again, I cannot believe that one human that plays nose tackle, him not being in majority of the game, absolutely made everyone else look crappy defending the run up front. Crazy. That just shows you that $10 million, whatever he got, is a bargain if he has that type of impact against a team that can run the ball. It's crazy, dude. Crazy.
And we also got gaffed once again by a quarterback. That one run for 24 yards was led to a field goal, but that's happened to us too often as well.
And yeah, let's talk about that for a quick second as well. This Rams pass rush again, going up against backup O linemen and an O line that really the whole season hasn't been very good. They've had moments or a game or a quarter here and there, but for them to hold off again, Pro Bowl level D linemen, a Jared, a Byron, majority of the game. Again, it better be that damn rain because that is just unacceptable for them not to get to Bryce Young enough. Or when they do, they can't get him down and the run game stuff. And that's a big part of it. And let's break it down, everyone, as we'll go into the quarter by quarter craziness that went on after we got off all the negative energy off our chest with how things went, at least defensively. Because again, I'm blaming the defense for this loss over anything. When the Rams offense puts up 28, you should be able to win games, Rams defense. No excuse. So let's start off with this first quarter. Right, Ronnie Rivers has a fantastic kickoff return. Remember that? And then we get the uninterruptness when he gets shoved late out of bounds. So I mean, I was like, oh, Ronnie for 40 something yards and an additional 15. I was like, this is going great. And then, I mean, Mark, boom, boom, boom. No problem, no problem. Stafford completion here, good screen there. And then, Mr. Automatic at the red zone, Devontae Adams, an easy little slant where he was open. Tough catch, right? Stafford just said, F it, I'm just going to throw it as soon as I can so nobody can bat it up. And he caught it, and I'm feeling good at that point, Mark.
Yeah, and I have this theory, and I wish I had some data on it. Sometimes I feel like your first touchdown early in the game comes too easy. Sometimes it just comes too easy, and maybe there's this little psychological, letdown that you're like, oh man, this is going to be a walk in the park because it seemed that way, right? A 35-yard drive to open up the game. This offense, that's a gift. 7 points, really. So yeah, but I was feeling good. I was like, oh man, we're going to cream these guys, and maybe that's what the Rams players were thinking as well.
I know Sean McVay said in the post-game press conference that he doesn't believe the team was, underestimating, overlooking, whatever you want to say to the Carolina Panthers, excuse me. Everyone's a human being. We saw the Carolina Panthers look abysmal on offense against the 49ers. You don't think our Rams defense, who has been absolutely annihilating people recently, think, oh, we got this. They suck. Be real with yourselves. They're human beings. There's still a lot of young players on this team outside of a few. Come on. We all know that's the case. You can say we respect them and all that. But when you see them have many poor performances in a row or look bad half the season, you're feeling good, you're feeling confident, and you do take people lightly, whether you realize it or not. So I think that's what happened to your point, Mark. For sure they did. I don't want to hear any of that they didn't. Give me a break. But anyway, Rams scored the touchdown to Devontae. Fantastic. Then Carolina turning away, right? They're getting decent yardage on the ground to our point earlier that frustrated us. And I was like, what the hell is happening here? And then Bryce Young, a little swing pass to Chuba Hubbard, 35 yards. He just outruns everyone in all the angles. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Really? On a little swing pass? I was like, ugh.
Yeah, that was either blocked really well, or our defense had no clue what they were doing, because I think I might have been able to run that in. It was there was just a channel, it wasn't a hole, it was a channel for him to run through, and man, easy touchdown.
And again, we talked about it in the Keys to Victory episode, everyone, the game preview episode. It was like, yes, Rico Dowdle is good, but Chuba Hubbard, they paid him big time running back money last year because he was a baller for them. And they used him well this game for sure. And that was the beginning of his good production against us, unfortunately. So, hey, we're tied 7-7 at that point. And I'm like, well, this is lame. All right, offense, let's get it together. So then Matthew Stafford starts chucking around the field, right? That huge pass to Devontae, that was, what was that, 30-something yards?
Right.
Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, slice and dice. Everything's going good. And then look at Matthew on the interception, pick six. Oh, no. I'm speaking too soon by this. Sorry, my interception's messed up here. We're in the red zone. And Matthew Stafford, again, I'm going to rewatch the film. It looked like he was going to have a chance to throw a touchdown. But of course, a couple former Rams, Bobby Brown, the nose tackle, he said, "Go see you later. You're not good enough." Nick Scott, former, you know, third string safety that saved the Super Bowl season playing good football for us. He gets the interception off that tip pass. And I was like, is this really what's happening right now? I was like, this is ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, and that ends that streak of touchdowns without an interception. But yeah, stuff happens. Maybe this goes to your point of running the ball more, but 3rd and 6, I think the play call was correct. But what are you going to do? You can survive a play like that. It sucks, but the stuff that came after that was probably more damaging. But yeah, take 3 points off the board for the Rams, if not 7 there. So yeah, it sucked.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to rewatch the film. Again, I would say Matthew Stafford's probably throwing a touchdown there. If I had to guess, just based on his decisive nature throwing into the end zone more times than not. But that was unfortunate. And everyone's saying that's a Stafford problem. That one is 1000% not his fault. Now you can say, oh, throw a
Right.
better pass over the lineman. Those are those weird bang bang plays. I mean, that easily could have bounced anywhere else on the field, but right to a couple Panther guys and a former Ram, Nick Scott. That's just how football goes sometimes, where the ball bounces or rolls, and that was one of those crappy scenarios. So, I mean, hey, Panthers get the ball back, but they don't do Jack Tilly squat. So I'm like, all right, thank God, let's get it going. And then a couple plays later, now this one's on Matthew Stafford. He's throwing an out route to Puka Nacua and just 1000% misfires and throws it to the inside shoulder when you got to throw that near the sideline to a player's outside shoulder, and that gets pick six. Of course, everyone's all, oh, that's all Matthew Stafford does is throw interceptions. Absolutely brutal. I could not believe that happened, that Jackson got that and returned it the whole way. And I was like, oh my God. Stafford hasn't had turnovers in forever. And then we're really going to get 2 by him on back-to-back drives. What the hell is happening?
Yeah, basically gave away 10 points there. And remember the play before that, he was late on a pass to Terrence Ferguson, who is wide open,
That's
streaking
right. Yeah.
towards the right sideline. And if he double pumped, I think Ferguson made a great catch, but it was too late, out of bounds. So if he hits that pass, this interception doesn't happen. So he had really 2 miscues in a row there. The bad
Yeah, you're
throw
right.
to late throw to Ferguson, and then I don't know what he saw there. I don't know if the perfect pass would have been completed to Nakua, but hey, Puka never ceases to surprise us. Maybe they can connect there, but it looked to me like he was fairly well covered, I thought.
He
And
absolutely was.
yeah,
You have to throw that ball to the outside. You cannot throw that to the inside with somebody that tight, right? It's got to be Nakua's got to toe tap, toe drag swag that catch. You remember Nate Burleson used to say that. And that's how it has to be. Your guy get it or nobody gets it. And Stafford just misfired on that, and that was inside. And that's an easy INT for corners that are sitting on the route like that. So that was devastating. And still first quarter, right? Rams get the ball back. And here we go. You're thinking, okay, a bomb immediately to Xavier Smith. That was 20-something yards, right, Mark? And I was like, all right,
yeah.
finally. No Tutu Atwell in this game still, as he wasn't activated. So at least Xavier Smith can take on some of that role. And I was excited to see that. And then finally, Blake Corum has a nice run. And then after that all crazy first quarter, we finally get to the second quarter, everyone. Can you believe that? All that nonsense that happened in the first. And we're getting some drives going, right? You see good runs by Blake. You see some short passes being converted by Colby, right? Some good play action boots and et cetera, et cetera. And then on that 3rd and 6, I was like, man, we really need to get some points. Like, just Carolina has way too much momentum. Stafford surveys, and just throws an absolute rifle to Devontae for a second touchdown of the game. I was like, all right, everyone, we're in a decent spot. We're okay. Let's just get our act together. And we're tied 14-14. And I'm feeling better, Mark. I'm feeling better.
Yeah, it was a nice drive, and you felt like the game is starting to take the shape of what we expected in the first place. The Rams
Yeah.
just running and passing their at will down the field, and yeah, that was a good sign. if it figured like at that point, I felt like, yeah, we weathered the storm. A couple of really bad plays that went against
Yeah.
us. Now let's just take care of business, right?
Yeah, and exactly that point. I was like, all right, they got their lucky crap out of the way now. I was like, let's just settle down and play our game, right? As you hear a lot of coaches say, play your game. And well, the Carolina Panthers play their game beautifully this next drive, practically. And this is to our point of the frustration of the run game stuff. It just felt like whether it was Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, and this drive was specifically with Chuba. I mean, the dude was not getting touched in the backfield. The dude was always falling forward, and it's like 4 yards here, 5 yards here. Bryce Young, scrambles out of a sack. And I'm like, oh, yeah, guys, get this man to the ground. Then another 4th and 1, right? We finally get to this point where it's like, all right, Rams, show up here. Let's go. They go like this old school 1940s style, full house formation, right? You have like 3 guys in the backfield and they do an outside pitch. Yeah, Rico had no problem getting it. They didn't make him earn that at all. Totally open lane for him to get, 6-7 yards on that on a 4th and 1. I was like, oh my God, what the hell is happening? But, luckily, Carolina had some penalties. They had, they were just too backed up where they eventually kicked a field goal and they burned a lot of time, Mark, on that one. And it was like, okay, let's settle down defense, right? At that point, even though we held them to a field goal, I was not feeling good about how they were playing, Mark.
No, yeah, they're just converting these third downs and these fourth downs. And, when they had that holding penalty from their 18-yard line, 1st and 10, and take a
Yeah.
hold, and those are killers, usually drive killers. And that's happened to the Rams so many times over the last few years. But they clawed their way out of it and still got the field goal. So, yeah, I mean, that really prevented them from getting a touchdown, which was a good thing, obviously. But yeah, I still feel like this game is kind of a toss-up. One team clearly should be far better, but man, the Panthers playing us tough. Not feeling 100% good about it at this point.
Yeah, not at all, man. But 14-7, and I'm like, okay, let's get it together. I mean, Mark, the time of possession killed us on that one. It was set. Oh, they had to drive for over 7 minutes on that one. It's just unacceptable, man. And again, good game plan by them. Let's churn points, churn yardage on the ground so the MVP quarterback doesn't have a chance. I get it. But hey, the Rams got the ball back. They had some good runs, right? Then they had a penalty, was a defensive offside. So you're like, all right, we'll take those free yards. And then another bomb to Xavier Smith where he gets 51 yards, 51
Yep.
yards on that. And I was like, here we go. I mean, Tutu, maybe would have scored on that, but they didn't want to activate him. It's a conversation for later. And I'm thinking, okay, Stafford's cooking. He got the bad out of the way. They got lucky with those bad plays. We're cooking, Mark, after that explosive to Xavier.
Yeah, and Blake Corum. It's such a bummer that this is kind of a coming out party for him. He looks so good,
Yeah.
unfortunately in a losing cause. But man, really happy for him. This is the Blake Corum that we hoped we drafted, and he had a really good day on this run. Closing it out with that touchdown. Had some nice spin moves throughout this game, as did Kyron. Running backs looked really
Yeah,
good
I mean,
actually.
when Kyron had to sub himself out and he was wincing in pain with that ankle, I was like, uh-oh. Luckily Blake went in there. No chaos with he can't score a goal line touchdown. He finally got that monkey off his back, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
And he's
right.
had struggles in previous games this season with that. But he gets in. And then at that point, I'm like, oh God, please Kyron be okay. But we took the lead, right? We're 21-17. And I'm like, okay, offense is getting that together. I'm like, defense, let's go. Punt it back. We get some good stops. Bryce Young and them can't do jack till they squat. And then obviously we take a knee and we go into halftime, Mark. But at that point in the game, I was still having concerns with the defense. I was feeling 1,000% fine about the offense, Mark. I was like, yeah, they're going to score a bunch of points on them. Defense, I was like, they better get their act together. And at that point, I wasn't feeling good about them. But the offense, again, I was.
Yeah, I was hanging my head on the fact that the Rams defense and offense usually puts it together in the second half, and
Yeah.
Panthers get the first possession in the second half, and you know, let's get a three and out here and take control of this game. That's what we need to happen, but that's not what happened.
Yeah, so let's get to the third quarter, everyone. Right, Rams got the ball first. They had a nice opening touchdown drive. So Panthers ball now as we begin this third quarter. And this is part of the again, more frustration with the run defense by this, quote unquote elite Rams unit there, led by Chris Shula. 3 yards here, 4 yards here, whether it was Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, they were just churning us down. And then, of course, you get them in a third and medium, 3rd and 5, and our pass defense couldn't do jack till he squat as Coker was open, get 16 yards, and I'm like, son of a gun. And then here we go again, right? Churning away, churning, and we forced them, Mark, into a 4th and 3. And this son of a gun, Jalen Coker, cooked us for that 30-something yard touchdown on 4th and 3. And Emmanuel Forbes just got flat out beat, man, and man-to-man coverage. I'm gonna have to look back at the all 22 and see what the full play call was from Shula and see how that all came together and why this blew up in their face. But to see that happen, and Emmanuel Forbes, who had been playing good football, get beat by, a quote unquote bigger receiver in one-on-one. Where have we seen that before? Oh, Washington Commanders, AJ Brown, and Rams, AJ Brown versions of Emmanuel Forbes. That was disappointing to see, man.
Yeah, and it's probably difficult for Ram fans because we've become so accustomed to this defense not letting that happen. That's what this defense has been really good at, is not allowing big plays. And these plays weren't really over the top, not like the Xavier Smith catch. They're more like crossing patterns, kind of deep dig routes, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And just and I felt like our safety coverage was off, and maybe it's not having Quentin Lake and a domino effect. Witherspoon was out.
Absolutely. That's a
Yeah,
domino effect. Yeah.
yeah, and Witherspoon was out there, and I'm not saying it's Witherspoon's fault, but clearly wasn't. He wasn't the guy in coverage, but maybe there's just some miscommunication going on. I don't know, but and that was my fear. I don't know how many snaps Witherspoon had, but again, we got to get Witherspoon into the rotation, and I think in the long term, it's going to be a big addition. But I just have to wonder if there was something going on in that secondary. Injecting a
Yeah.
new guy back in. I don't know. It's just weird to see those plays unfold against this defense.
It's just unfortunate. And again, the Rams defensive scheme is from the OG Vic Fangio. Now he runs things a little bit different. What is that? It's very heavy zone coverage. It's a lot of cover 6. We do a lot of that. Cover 4, combo coverage, a lot of disguise. It is very complicated, but the main thing is there is more zone than man-to-man being played. And when Emmanuel Forbes against bigger body receivers has not done well, it is just the truth in man-to-man coverage. And this was a moment where that was exposed. And again, I'll look back at the all 22 and see exactly what the full play call was. But to give that up on a 4th down too, not like he caught it and got 15 yards, a touchdown,
Yeah.
really, I couldn't believe it. And that was infuriating and disappointing to see. But game on though, right? We still got a lot of time left in this game. As again, that was the opening drive of the third quarter. And the Rams get the ball back, and you say, let's match it. They don't do jack tilly squat. Matthew Stafford gets sacked. They can't connect with Devontae on that 3rd and long. And then the punt return, that was a big return. Thank God that was called back by a holding penalty on Carolina, Mark. I was like, oh my God, everything that could go wrong is going wrong right now when they got that big return. But it was it was a holding and they got bounced back. But at that moment, Mark, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong right now after the big return that, again, one more time, got called back. But at that moment, I was like, I can't believe it.
Yeah, there's moments in this game where I'm like, okay, the Rams are weathering the storm. Like I said earlier, we're gonna be okay. And then Carolina would just kept on give them credit, but man, At this point in the game, I'm starting to really worry that it's just not our day. It's one of those games where we usually have one or two a year where things just don't fit right for whatever reason, and we walk away with an L. I still thought there was a good chance the Rams were going to storm back and win at the end, take control of this game late in the fourth quarter, but certainly feeling pretty uneasy at this point.
Hey, guys, then we jump to like, the near end of the third quarter here, and another ground and pound performance from this backup Panthers O-line, just absolutely dominating our front. 5 yards, 2 yards, 6 yards, 6, 6, 3. And it was like, what is happening? Chuba Hubbard breaks through, gets another 10. 9 run by Chuba. 4 yards, 2 yards, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, what is happening? And before you know it, that's the end of the third quarter. Could you believe that? The Rams only ran 3 offensive plays, everyone. And the ground and pound Carolina Panthers run game absolutely stole that whole beginning of the second half, that whole third quarter. At that moment, I was like, oh my God, we can't stop the run, and we're just not going to have enough time left. That was my thought going into the fourth quarter. I was like, this is going bad right now for both sides. Offense never having the ball, defense just getting beat up front, which was disappointing to see, man.
Yeah, it's I think most Ram fans felt exactly the same about this game. Is just the inability to slow down this Panther run game, the inability to get off the field on third down, and our offense. A couple of mistakes, but for the most part, a lot of big plays for our side as well. But man, just the Panthers just had it going on against our defense over and over and over against little plays and big plays both, right?
And it's crazy. So, fourth quarter now, right? Rams only had the ball for a minute and 50 seconds that whole third quarter. Insane. Insane. But luckily, Carolina couldn't do jack till he squat. Byron Young finally gets home. Finally, somebody gets or excuse me, Braden Fisk gets to Bryce Young. I'm getting names mixed up here. And we're like, thank God, finally bring that son of a gun down. And then they have to punt, right? And it's like, okay, guys, let's settle down and get in the damn end zone. And Blake Corum says, you can rely on me. I'll make a big play happen. As this is a superpower we've talked about, Mark. When he gets open field, he has great side-to-side vision, right? Like a chameleon. Looking around, he knows like, oh, I'm looking at you, but I'm going to make a crazy jump cut to the left or right. And he made some fantastic cuts to get a massive run. What was that, like 35 yards?
For 34 yards, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, we needed this so bad. And to your point earlier, he was having a good day before that. And this was really like, all right, Blake Corum, we can rely on you to make big plays. And I always said that is his superpower. He gets in the open field, he makes people miss and look silly, man. He can juke guys out. And he did that on that play.
Yeah, he was feeling it. You could just see it. His body language and his ball carrying on top of that, man, he was feeling it. And if nothing else, we can come out of this game knowing that there have been. I think there's some people that question, the draft pick and the player.
Yeah,
I haven't felt that way.
me either.
I just think he needs more opportunities. And man, he looked really good.
Yeah, that was good. And then, hey, he gets another good run. Kyron gets another big, what was he, like 10 plus yards on that. And I was like, all right, let's move the damn ball, please. And let's get in the damn end zone. And a couple plays later, Puka Nacua makes one of the craziest catches I've ever seen from him. And that's saying something, everyone. He has a highlight catch every game, it feels like, since he's been starting for us. And this may be one of the best. The one-hand sideline in the rainy, wet weather, snags it, brings it in, still fighting for tons of yards. That 30-something yard pass, Mark, I was like, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Get in the end zone. But, man, is that not one of the craziest catches you've seen from at least a Rams wide receiver in a while? And that's saying something.
Yeah, it's what was amazing about it is that you all saw it. I'm not going to try to mimic it here, but you think he's going to make that catch with his left hand, right? but it got tangled
Yeah.
up with the receiver, I think. So he backhands it with his right hand. And it was, oh man, it was pretty incredible. I think that is one of the better catches I've ever seen. We see the one-handed catches on occasion, right?
Yeah.
But to do a one-handed backhand catch is just crazy. And again, it sucks that it happened in a game that we ended up losing. I have to say that.
Yeah. No effort kidding on that. But Kyron says, "Don't worry, I'll run it in." He gets a nice 7-yard touchdown as he batters through a bunch of Carolina defenders. And at that point, Mark, 28-24, I was like, thank God the offense is getting their act together. And Mark, the Carolina Panthers said, "Hey, you guys can't stop us either." As again, the formula of them after we score, we kick the ball off. 1 yard run here, a couple yards here, a couple yards here. Rico Dowdle has a nice little scramble on a pass as well. And then a decent stop, right? We get him to third and medium. Chuba Hubbard gets stuffed. Nate Landman makes a good tackle, and I'm feeling good. I'm like, all right, 4th and 2. We get a stop. Let's score again, and it's over. Bryce Young is not going to bring them back if we get up by, 10 points, multiple, possessions, right? And of course, 4th and 2. T-Mac, Tetero McMillan, the player apparently Sean McVay really wanted in the draft, burns Emmanuel Forbes for a 40-plus yard touchdown. I was like, are you effing kidding me? I was like, wow, we really let Bryce Young kill us today. I could not believe it, Mark. 4th and 2 again. I was in shock.
Yeah, and there's a few things I got to say about this. Yeah, it was an opportunity, a stop, and kind of sort of end the game, perhaps. And the last thing you want to do is give up a touchdown from the 43-yard line. I mean, field goal does them no good. So they're in 4 down. They're in 4 down territory regardless. But still, don't give up the big play. Just don't give up the big play. And so we lost on 2 accounts. We couldn't get them to turn the ball over to us on downs, and worse than that, we gave up a big splash play, a go-ahead touchdown on 4th down from our own 43. That hurts a lot.
Well, I wonder the last time in NFL history that's happened to a team. 2 4th and 2s end up being long 30-plus yard touchdowns in the same game against the same opponent. That, the 2 block kicks against the Eagles, other dumbass stuff that's happened to this team. This Rams team has had more insane things happen to them than any Rams team I can think of. I couldn't believe it, Mark. And I was like, are you effing kidding me? And I'll look back at the film, just like the other 4th and short touchdown they gave up. We'll see exactly what the play call was. But another moment, though, Mark, where Emmanuel Forbes against a bigger bodied receiver who he has to play man-to-man against cannot get the job done, man. This is gonna be an issue. Look at, we're gonna face, big receivers, big body receivers more throughout the season, throughout the playoff tournament. If, when we get in, we will get in the tournament, I believe, regardless of where we're at, the spot. That's going to be an issue, man. And Akello Witherspoon, that shoulder, your conditioning, your speed, all that, hopefully all that's all 100% because he's got to be the guy, man, to be able to handle these T-Macs, A.J. Browns, a Coker, any of those bigger physical guys. That's got to be an Akello Witherspoon person to handle. Like Emmanuel Forbes cannot handle it. He can't.
Yeah, and I'd love to see what happened off the line of the scrimmage between those two because
I know. I'll look at the film. Like I said.
yeah, T-Mac was running basically a deep, crossing route, but he was behind Forbes. Forbes let him get away.
Yeah,
and it was just too easy.
It's just unacceptable, man. Unacceptable. And I was like, oh my God. Again, I'm just thinking and reliving it in my head. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. But okay, 31-28 Rams at that moment. And there's still 6 minutes left in the game. In my opinion, I'm like, okay, offense, don't feel the pressure. I believe they were going to score. I really did.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, look, Rams are going to score. and we're just going to make this a nail biter to the end, aren't we? But at that
Right.
moment, I was like, no faith in the defense. I was like, yeah, it's got to be a Stafford McVay offensive line. They got to win it for us, right? And it's starting out beautiful. Boom, bang, bang. Stafford's cooking through the rain, no matter what. Colby, Puka, big completions, right? Devontae gets a big completion on the out route, right? Where I know with Drew Brees, like, man, look at him miss him earlier. And I was like, well, that was a miss. I get it. Stafford probably threw the check down too soon. And I agree on that, by the way. I'll look back at the film. But they connect later, feeling good. A couple incompletions, right? Nakua gets another crazy sideline catch on 3rd and short, remember? And I was like, oh my God, dude. Big snag. And again, thank you, Stafford. I want to say he threw that to the outside shoulder that time, right? Give your guy a chance. Then Nakua makes it happen. And I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're driving. We're in the red zone, Mark, everyone. And I'm like, all right, let's get some points here. Let's end this son of a gun. And I cannot believe this. We talked about it when we were, off air, Mark. Out of all the times that Sean McVay has burned timeouts for dumb shit in games, early in games, late in games, and when the play clock is winding down in a critical situation where it's 3rd and 5, you don't call a timeout to save it. What are you saving timeouts for at that point? That is 100% the scenario to call timeout and save yourself the yardage. But he lets it go. Matthew Stafford obviously lost track of the play clock, and they take that delay of game. And I was like, are you kidding me? I couldn't believe it, Mark. Again, out of all the times, and Rams fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. Sean McVay burns timeout for dumb things all the time, and he didn't call a timeout there. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, 3rd and 5 from the Panthers 17. You're probably going to, maybe they would have settled for a field goal there, but I think they might have went for it. 2 downs to pick up 5 yards or kick the field goal. The way our defense was playing, you're probably going to go for it, and then
Yeah.
you take the penalty, and now it's 3rd and 10, and that's a long 10 yards from that spot with a shortened field. Yeah, and well, you can take it away, Ian. What happened after that?
Devastation happened. So now we're in third and 10, right, everyone?
Right.
And the most disastrous thing that could have possibly have happened. Shotgun pass, right? We got to throw for it, of course. And I'll look back at the film, but the stunt that the Carolina Panthers pulled off and executed was beautiful. And real quick, people call them twists, stunts, crisscrossing, whatever your name is. That is when D linemen or pass rushers line up in one spot, attack one direction at first, and then they crisscross, switch, stunt to try to free themselves up to get to the quarterback. And the Carolina Panthers did that beautifully. Their interior D lineman that rushed forward at first and then, crisscrossed around. Again, this is designed around, gets to Matthew Stafford and slaps that football out for a strip sack, and they scoop and, get a big return on that. I was like, oh my God. Did we really just lose the game on that? I was in disbelief. The no timeout by McVay, the play before, and then this play happening right after. What a disaster, Mark.
Yeah, and I had just talked about that last week. I think in our key to victories, the turnover differential was largely due to obviously Stafford's, not taking care of the ball as far as throwing the ball, but also ball security when he gets hit, when he gets sacked. No fumbles. None of those Jared Goff flashbacks of getting hit and fumbling the ball away. And maybe I jinxed the guy, but yeah, that was pretty crushing.
I couldn't believe it. But timeouts were still available. 2-minute warning was still on the Rams' benefit. Carolina obviously just run the ball. They're trying to smash mouth their way to a first down, and we forced them to a 3rd and 5 mark, right? This is the situation you wanted your defense to have the opportunity to salvage,
Right.
right? And of course, 3rd and 5, we're for sure playing zone coverage. You want to know why we all know that, or I know that? Because we got everyone staring at the quarterback as Coker just wide open in the middle behind the linebackers. Now, in zone coverage, more times than not, if there's somebody not crossing your face, defenders are purposely looking at the quarterback and see where he's looking to kind of gauge and get a cue of like, oh, he's looking that way. I'm going to start running that way. Maybe I can make a play. Matthew Stafford uses that to no look guys all the time. But the problem is, I have to look back on the film. Why the hell is Coker so damn open in between two defenders right there? Unacceptable. They get the first down, kneel it, game over. And I was like, holy shit. What a horrible defensive performance. And of course, it had to end on that, right, Mark? To cap off a horrible day on defense, you're going to lose playing horrible on a critical down to at least give your team a chance to maybe tie it or win it at the end. And based on how the whole game went, I'm not shocked looking back that that's how it ended. Crappy.
Yeah, it sucked. I was hoping we'd get one more shot, and
Yeah.
defense defense didn't deliver. And yeah, I don't know what to make of it. As this defense has been on such a good run, and maybe in the long run we'll look back at this as a wake up call that they received. They're not as good as their as their newspaper clippings.
Yeah.
They need to show up, play every game, get that secondary sorted out. And it truly did suck. A horrible way to end the game between the turnover at the end and then the defense's inability to get a stop on 3rd and 5 when your team just absolutely had to have it, couldn't get it done.
I just man, and we talked about it in the Keys to Victory game preview episode, everyone. We said it. This skill group for the Carolina Panthers is solid and respectable. It may not be perfect, but we said Chuba and Rico, maybe the best 1-2 running back guys. We said T-Max legit, right? Hunter didn't play this game. Xavier Legette didn't do Jack Tilly squat, but Coker got us, man. And the run game overall got us. And that was just disappointing to see. Again, we really let Bryce Young scramble on us. We really let Bryce Young complete borderline miracle 4th and short passes for touchdowns. We really couldn't stop the run game with Puna Ford not in the game. Really, against backup O linemen? Just horrible loss. Again, like we talked about earlier in the episode, anyone that is nonchalant about this or says it's fine, it ain't fine how this all unfolded. It ain't fine, Mark.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still, going to be, the cup's half full guy looking forward. It's we have one of these games every year. I think it would have been sweet to finish out the year, with 6-0, sweep these last 6 games, but uh, reality is it's not going to happen. And hopefully this is a loss we can put behind us, and gotta bounce back with a win next week though, because we still have the 2 tough games. The 2 tough games we are worried about ahead of us, right? Detroit and Seattle.
Yeah,
And maybe we're thinking this is a gimme. Too much, considering it too much of a gimme. All of us.
guys, you don't think that Jonathan Gannon's Cardinals are saying if the Rams can't stop the run with Puna Ford in and backup linemen are getting good push, why can't we? You don't think the Detroit Lions are foaming at the mouth saying, oh, David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs, oh, yeah, we can gash them. You don't think that? You don't think the Seattle Seahawks aren't looking at this and saying, no Puna Ford? Oh, we got them with Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, who, again, ran pretty well on us the last matchup. You don't think they're going to be thinking that and they're going to try to exploit that? This was a horrible loss for that reason and many, many more. As again, this loss could have serious NFC West, crown implications, playoff seeding implications, and it will if you know Rams don't get their act together and other teams continue to keep on winning, a la Seattle Seahawks, 49ers. So lame, but let's pull up the box score as this will kind of tell a majority of the story from this point of view, right? Rams scoring in this first quarter, 7 points, second quarter, 14 points. Oh, but look at that fat zero in the third quarter. Why is that? You only ran 3 plays on offense. Thanks, Rams defense, for allowing that to happen. And then fourth quarter, that touchdown wasn't enough. Carolina, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, and then they end up scoring every quarter from then on out. 3, 7, and 7 for the second, third, and fourth quarters, Mark. Isn't that insane? Just looking at that box score, like, wow.
Yeah, probably the most surprising part is, the third quarter, the second half is usually when this Rams team takes over, especially the defense. We've had a handful of shutouts in the fourth quarter, and
Yeah.
it was. I think we've talked about it enough. Probably this was not a good day for our defense, and they got some figuring out to do for sure.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
maybe it's just a matter of working Witherspoon into this secondary with Quentin Lake out and figuring out a few things, and we'll be okay. But certainly showing some vulnerabilities.
yeah. And yeah. If Quinn Lake's on this team, I don't think they run for as much. I don't think they pass for as much. That's just the facts. Captain Q,
Oh,
man, we miss you. Heal up soon. We'll see you in January. Fingers crossed everything goes our way. But team stats we went through earlier, and this is something we forgot to cover, everyone. The turnover battle. When you turn the ball over 3 times, more than likely you're probably not going to win. But again, I still think the defense just letting too many big plays happen and just getting beat up in the run game was more of a detriment to this team losing than the turnovers, truthfully. Even though that does sound crazy, but we all watched it. When you don't have the ball for an entire third quarter, basically, and you can't get stops on fourth and short and you give up touchdowns on those plays, the Rams offense, despite those 3 turnovers, played good enough, Mark. They did.
oh yeah, absolutely. And we had our share of big plays on offense as well.
Yeah.
And there were times where we were just making it look easy. Even Drew Brees at one point said, "Okay, the Rams are done messing around here." In that one drive, they just, I think it was 6 plays, and I think it was the drive they had got the ball on their own 11-yard line, right? And
Yeah.
it seems like you blinked twice and they're in the end zone. So yeah, the offense was cooking on all cylinders. They had that issue on that last drive, the the delay of game and the fumble, obviously, but other than that, a couple of bad throws by Stafford offense. Really, no complaints.
You scored 28 points on this Carolina Panthers team. There should be no universe where you lose this game like this. But unfortunately, we live in the universe where they did do that. Insane. And then the 2 sacks by the Panthers got on Stafford, and then the 2 on Bryce Young. But let me talk about this with the pass rush. They got to step the hell up. They have had way too many weeks in a row, Mark, where they've only had 1 sack and a bunch of pressures, or a couple sacks. This team is way too talented up front, in my opinion, for them to not be getting the quarterback more often. We went the Seahawks game with pressure, but not sacks. We went the Niner game, not that many sacks on Mac Jones the first time or the second time. Now, yes, Teddy Bridgewater playing behind backup linemen, we got to him luckily. But it just feels like this Rams pass rush, Mark, and especially in this game, just man, they have to be better. You are playing backup O linemen. You need to whip their ass if you're as good as you think you are. And we know they're that good. The league knows they're that good. And for them to not show up in that department and get to Bryce Young and bring him to the ground more than 2 times is another massive, massive disappointment outside of the run game issues that front had, right?
Yeah, and it seems like other teams get to Stafford more often than not, more often than you would think with corner blitzes and such, and we don't seem to pull that card very often. And maybe
Yeah.
Shula, that's just not his gig. Maybe he thinks Young and Josiah Stewart and Jared Verse are good enough to get there without blitzing, bringing a cornerback or a safety. But maybe we need to start considering it, mixing it up a little bit,
Yeah.
because that's I think that's something that's missing from our defense, I think.
Yeah. And again, McCullough, when he was blitzing, he was good. Quinn, and I get it. Those guys are out or they're not, full-time guys playing on defense. But the Rams pass rush has not been good enough. And they need to get their act together because, again, we're facing better online in future games. They better figure it out because if they can't whoop bad O linemen in rain where you don't have your footing as good, no bueno, man. So that's another thing that was disappointing to see with the Rams front there. Only 2 sacks on Bryce Young playing behind backups. Not acceptable, man. As a scoring summary, I mean, look at all that, everyone, right? Chuba, McMillan, Coker. Ugh.
Yeah, the
Just
yardage on those scores is
It's
just
just look at I'm in disgust looking at them in my own 2 eyes. I mean, 48 yards, 35 yards, 43 yards, 33 yards. It's like, holy crap, man. We really gave up that many explosives that turned into touchdowns. And again, 2 of them were on 4th and shorts. Unacceptable, man. Ugh.
yeah. I don't know what more we're going to say about it. There,
I know.
it's a breakdown, maybe in strategy, defensive
Yeah,
strategy,
I mean,
and execution.
again, I'm going to look back at the film, but based on everything that happened, Chris Shula got outcoached. The players
Yeah.
got outplayed by the Carolina guys. Speaking defensively here, Rams perspective, Rams defense, Carolina's offense, and it's just unacceptable all that happened. And we talked about all the other big plays that went on. It was just what a shit show that was. As we pull up the stats here, right? Stafford 243, 2 touchdowns. He had the 2 picks. One of them was 100% not his fault. The other one was 100% his fault, and then the fumble, unfortunately. And man, Mark, my worry is just as a Rams guy, Rams fan, is that the people who are always tweeners on Matthew Stafford, and we're finally barely going to give him credit for how good he's been playing. This would be a game they'll always look back on and be like, see, he's not an MVP quarterback. We're giving it to Drake May. We're giving it to Jackson Smith and Jigba. That is my worry. I'm like, this game is going to get held against Stafford so hardcore because everyone always underappreciates him anyway. And that just sucks from, I guess, our point of view, at least my point of view. I hope that isn't the case.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just a West Coast whiner. I think the media across the country has always been a little unfair to the West Coast teams, especially the
Yeah,
Rams. Not so much the Dodgers or the Lakers. They get, the media loves those franchises across the country,
different
but
sports, yeah.
yeah, but as far as football goes, the Rams are a team that, it's been happening for 40, 50 years where, you get often, like I said earlier today, in one of these recent episodes, Kevin Dotson, if he's on the Cowboys, he's a Pro Bowler looking for his 3rd
I
straight
mean,
Pro
for
Bowl berth.
real. Yeah, dude.
You're right. And here he is on the Rams and nobody knows who the hell he is. But so that could very well happen to Stafford. That's what's happened to Torrey Holt not getting in the Hall of Fame. And it just, it's just a broken record. I know, but I think there's a lot of truth to it. So yeah, you're right. One game like this could destroy Matthew Stafford's MVP credentials.
So stupid, but 3 turnovers, the casuals will be out there being like, yeah, see? I mean, I saw so many memes of him, being like, oh, he's looking like JJ McCarthy, 2 number 9 guys, or or here's Stat Pafford again. Oh, look at him throwing pick 6. It's just like everyone's so ready to just shit on him. And I'm like, F you guys, man. You guys don't know a Hall of Fame quarterback if it was staring at you right in the face, apparently. And that's just my selfish worry is like, man, I hope this game doesn't cost him that. That would suck. But anyway, I thought he played well majority of the game. He led the team to score 28 points. My God, bro. And, nothing he could do when the linemen give up a stunt that makes him fumble at the end, unless, I guess, hold on to the ball. But, Randy, what do you do? And there's another thing that irritates me, Mark. Let's look at Blake Corum and Kyron Williams stats. 7 carries for 81 and a touchdown for Blake. Obviously, a majority of that came on that big run late in the fourth. Kyron, 13 carries for 72 and a touchdown. 20 carries between those guys, and they were that productive. Again, the Sean McVay special, and I get it. Stafford was throwing the ball and it was working. But you got to think, maybe if we run it a little bit more, maybe those bad plays don't happen. Maybe he doesn't get put in the situation where he fumbles in the fourth quarter. Maybe he doesn't get put in the situation where he underthrows the ball to Nakua. You know what I'm saying? Like those domino effects, those butterfly effects. It's like, hey, maybe instead of that play, you ran it. Maybe in the plays earlier, you ran it, so it sets you up and you call a different play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the old butterfly effect, sure.
And it's
And the
like,
other,
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
the other part of it is, your defense is out there a lot, and
Yeah.
then it's cool when you can score on six plays, but then suddenly I think they had the one drive. I think it was a 3-minute drive, and now your defense is back out there. So there's something to be said for long time consuming drives. I mean, we all love to see an offense that can score like in a lickety split, but there's something to be said for, what was the Panthers approach. We'll get to third down, we'll convert. We could have done the same with Kyron and Blake, I think, and chew up some
Absolutely.
clock and finish it off with a touchdown just the same. So it wears out your defense a little bit faster when you're scoring so quickly on your own.
Kyron Williams averaged 5.5 yards per carry. Blake averaged 11.6. Gosh
Crazy.
dang it. Run the damn ball. The weather's not good. And yes, because Matthew has an elite Hall of Fame arm, he can throw in any weather. That is a great asset to have. But when they can't stop the run, I just think of, again, it's all hindsight what if stuff, right? But still, I feel like if there was more run plays called, we probably could avoid some of these disastrous plays that happened when we tried to pass it, right? So it's just son of a gun, man, that happened. And hey, shout out to Xavier for his big catches, 3 for 82. Nakua's crazy catches that ended up being 6 for 72. I tip my imaginary cap to you, Devontae, as you are unstoppable in the red zone, 4 for 58, 2 touchdowns. And then Braden Fisk and Byron Young getting the sacks. Cool, 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 but didn't lead to a W, did it? Lame. And then Panthers side of things. Bryce Young only threw the ball 20 times, completed only 15 times, 206 and 3 touchdowns. What an awful stat as a Rams guy to be reading that. Chuba and Rico combined for got over 40 carries or 30 something carries, 40 carries, on the ground in general for the Panthers, and 83 58 yards. I mean, we talked about it a bunch. They just beat the hell out of us up front, and we just couldn't bring them down enough or get negative yards on them, Mark. It was a bad day there. Coker, 4 for 74. McMillan's one catch was the fourth down touchdown. Chuba had the bit, one of his few catches. And then, letting a small little quarterback run around, buy time, get out of sacks. It's just so unacceptable, man, how that all unfolded. And all these reading these stats for the Panthers on offense, irritating to look at.
Yeah, if you cover half the screen there and look at the Rams stats, you're looking at a 27-10 win, right? Except for maybe those two interceptions that kind of jump off the screen. But then you look at the Panthers stats and you're like, oh, okay, we got a problem here. High scoring game that did not go our way.
Yeah. Disgusting to look at. Disgusting to look at. As the big plays we talked about, right? The highlights, you can call it. Xavier Smith, Devontae, Corum, Nakua, all having some crazy plays that were all, thank God, and well, they didn't go our way.
Yeah,
And all the
and
crazy plays. Oh, go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
no, I was just going to say I threw this together because if you're not a Ram fan or a Panther fan, this is a highly entertaining game just because
Yeah.
of all these big plays. Both sides, the Rams had some crazy, crazy good plays here that you're looking at, and then you're going to go on to the Panthers. Panthers, unfortunately, had a few more than us, but
Ugh. Let's pull that up now. I mean, we talked about it a bunch already. I mean, the interceptions, the big six, the fumble, the fourth and short conversions. It's just so lame, Mark.
yeah, I do want to tell you. I'll try to put a positive spin on a few things.
Yeah.
We don't give out game balls, but I do have to say, Devontae Adams on that first touchdown, he really saved Stafford on that play. It was a poorly thrown ball behind him and low, made a nice grab. And we've seen Devontae drop some nicely thrown passes. So he kind of made up for it there. And Ronnie Rivers, showing up in the return game a couple of
Yeah.
times. That was nice to see. Jordan Whittington, man, that block he laid on that one. He's kind of an invisible guy, but he does that dirty work that we sometimes don't notice, but you noticed it
Yeah.
on that one play. And
Mhm.
then Nakua with a great catch and Xavier with a big day. So, there were some isolated performances worth noting on the Rams side, but these big plays by the Panthers, man, someone once told me, I don't know who it was. It was an NFL coach who said, you take a measure of the top five big plays in the game, and who did the majority of them go to, and they're probably going to win the game. And I think the Panthers probably got 4 out of 5 there.
Yeah. It's not even a debate. They got every big play, I felt like.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's crappy. And I think another point that I'm just thinking about to myself right now, and I'll share out loud now, is that uh, the old cliche of warm weather teams not playing their best in inclement weather, bad weather games, it was proven right today, man. Think about it, everyone. This was a rainy game. Rams did not win. Think about the Eagles' playoff loss, snow game. They did not win. I think back to the Baltimore Ravens game a few years back. That was a bad weather game. They did not win. Think of the Packers playoff game a little while, not that long ago as well. Bad weather, cold weather. They did not win. Think of that bad loss when, Jared Goff and Mitch Trubisky were trading interceptions in the freezing cold. Rams did not win that game. And there's others I'm blanking on right now, but I'm just thinking about it. One more time for you. If you think this game is not a serious loss and the Rams end up having to go back to Philadelphia, let's just say somehow the Bears pull it out of their ass and they keep the number 1 seed. Cold ass Chicago, that is not good for this California team. Green Bay Packers win the division, right? And then we have to somehow, some way, some reason travel to them and play LaFleur team who we have never beaten in the McVay era, by the way. I mean, these bad, quote unquote, bad weather games, the Rams more times than not do not win in the McVay era. It is a fact. Now, the one I can think off the top of my head was that Niner game last year. Remember, it was like 9-3 they won it, or some dumb, 13 to something low scoring. I'm blanking on it. Remember Thursday Night Football, both, Stafford and Purdy didn't play great. It was raining and wet. That was like one of the only games I can remember recently where they won a bad weather game. So hopefully that doesn't come to bite them in the playoff journey, Mark. Seattle, maybe rainy and wet and snowy then. I mean, gotta hope some things go our way outside of us just winning our games too, Mark.
Yeah, and maybe Stan Kroenke needs to anonymously donate $1 billion to Green Bay to build a dome stadium. Do the
Yeah,
same
don't
in
ever doing that.
do the do the same in Philadelphia. Of course, then they'd say, you know what, it's playoff time. We're going to play outside. But yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. I don't think it's again, try to put the positive spin on it. I think this Ram team is built to go win anywhere. You'd rather play at SoFi Stadium, but then there's the other side of it. You're playing the Packers or the Eagles at SoFi, a home game, and then you got 30,000 fans for the opposing team showing up, which kind of sucks. But still, you'd rather be at home, obviously.
Yes.
But that's just the nature of LA, though. I don't think it's ever going to totally change. A city of 13, a metropolitan area of 13 million people. There's always going to be fans for the opposing team. Not like there's not a bunch of Ram fans living in Milwaukee or Pittsburgh for a reason.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just something we have to deal with. But yeah, having that this especially this offense, it's such a great skill group. Being able to strut their stuff indoors is always preferred.
Yeah. And we shall see. Again, the Rams season is not over, everyone. The Rams can still win the West. the Rams can still have a high seed in the playoff tournament. Hopefully, number one, but the chances significantly dipped after today. All that is true, but you can still be mad and pissy about this loss like we are, and I am specifically. But hey, hopefully this team learns that you cannot underestimate a team no matter how bad they looked the week before, a la Panthers 49ers, where Bryce Young can do anything that whole game and they look horrible. Hopefully they learned that. Hopefully Sean McVay instills that thought into their brains if they haven't had that already. And we got a handful of games that are mega important still. Cardinals twice. Big game against the Lions, which I think will get flexed into a primetime game if I had to guess. Big matchup on primetime against the Seahawks. I mean, there are big games, and hopefully this loss won't carry over into a second loss anytime soon, Mark.
Yeah, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. We'll bounce back with a win. And keep in mind, the Packers and Bears play each other twice.
Yeah.
So the Bears have a tough road. I don't think they're going to hang on to that number one seed. So
I
we
don't
just
either.
need to take care of business. And that game against Seattle obviously be really big. But we'll see what happens. A disappointing day, but hey, I still think the Rams are in a better position than 25, 30 other franchises as we move on to week 13 or week 14, I should say.
So real quick, let's do this for fun because I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, who else plays who?" Okay, so Seahawks decimated the Vikings today. They played the Falcons. They played the Colts, who have an injured quarterback. They play the Panthers, which I thought they played earlier for some reason. Sorry, that's my fault on that. And then they played the Niners. They are more talented than all those teams other than us, which you can say maybe we're equal. Not good for our
Yeah.
chances of, claiming the NFC West /1 seed. Got to beat them on that Thursday game. And then how about the Niners, who, no matter how beat up they are, they continue to find ways to win games. Who do they play? Well, recently they just smashed on the Browns. They played the Tennessee Titans, who are in disarray. They also play the Colts, who have an injured quarterback. They do play the Bears, but knowing how that's going to go, I assume Robert Saleh is going to have a good game against Caleb. Let's just be real. And then they got to play, Seahawks, Niners. So majority of those games coming up, they should be favored in. And we still have, again, a Seahawks and a Lions matchup, and we still got to play the Cardinals twice. That is why this game was so meaningful. We are all within a game and a half. No, a half game, same record. Rams got to take care of business, and today's loss sucks. But luckily, we have another handful of weeks to get it right?
Yeah, assuming the Bears lose a game, and they will, the Rams control their own destiny. They just need to get their ship right. Um, like I say, it could be a lot worse. 9-3. I would have taken 9-3 at this point.
Of course, yeah.
But it sucks. It sucks to lose to an inferior team at this point in the season when you're making a push for the number one seed, obviously. But we'll get it right.
Yeah, if the Niners didn't have 9 wins and the Seahawks didn't have 8, 9 wins, then everything would be fine, right?
Right.
But we don't live in
Right.
that world. Everything is narrow and half game this, half game that, tiebreaker this, tiebreaker that. So fingers crossed, Rams do not let this loss spiral into 2 or more. That would be no bueno on that. But woof, Mark, we got a lot off our chest, mostly me. I had a
Yeah.
lot to say. But hey, just like the team, just like the coaches and the players and the organization, just like we will as well. Hey, you got 24 hours to soak in this loss, and then hey, you gotta wipe it away, learn from it, move on from it, and carry positive momentum in the future games. And look, at me and Mark, we'll do that, and we hope you guys do that too. As yes, today sucks as the Rams lose 28-31 against those damn Carolina Panthers, but the NFC West is still obtainable. A good seed in the playoff tournament, number one seed specifically, is still obtainable. But the Rams have to win majority of these games if not all of them, for those things to be secured. And I believe they have the capability to do that. And I know Mark and all of you believe that as well, right?
Yep, 1 week at a time. Let's go crush the Arizona Cardinals and move on from there.
Yep. Let's move on from there, everyone. As if you're on YouTube and you aren't subscribed already, hey, subscribe to our channel. We appreciate that. If you like this video, like the video. If you don't want to miss any of our content throughout this crazy 2025 season, turn on that notification bell as well. And if you're on the audio only and or podcast only side of things, share the audio, share the podcast. And guys, any of those options helps other Rams fans see our content. And me, Mark, we very much appreciate it. But hey, whether you were watching this game in LA, you were at Carolina, or in the Carolinas, I should say, or whether you were our friends out in Asia, Australia, Mexico, hey guys, rep the blue and gold, win, loss, or tie, throw up the horns, and never forget, you got to say it, baby. Go Rams.